Royal Guard helps a boy in a wheelchair take his first steps, and leaves his family in tears. The boy's name was Ion. He was 7 years old, with bright, curious eyes that seemed to see the world in a way few others could. From the very beginning of his life, Ion had faced challenges that many children could never imagine. He had a condition that made it impossible for him to walk on his own. His legs were weak, and his body could not support itself, so he spent most of his days in a wheelchair. While other children ran and played freely, Ion's world was slower, quieter, and shaped by his own unique rhythm. Ion's parents, Sarah and Imran, had been by his side since the day he was born. They loved him with all their hearts, and their lives revolved around his needs. Sarah often spent hours helping him with exercises that doctors recommended, carefully guiding his legs, hoping to strengthen them even a little. Imran, a gentle man with a warm smile, often pushed him in his wheelchair, taking him to parks, schools, and around their neighborhood. They had learned early that life with Ion required patience, understanding, and a lot of love. Despite the limitations, Ion was a happy child. He loved stories about brave heroes, animals, and magical adventures. He loved to laugh and make silly faces, and his laughter had a way of lighting up the room. Still, there were times when he felt a quiet sadness, moments when he would watch other children run and jump and wish that he could do the same. It was in those moments that his heart ached the most. School was both a challenge and a joy for him. Ion loved to learn, loved to hear stories from his teachers, and enjoyed drawing colorful pictures of the world as he imagined it. But navigating the school building in his wheelchair was not always easy. Some days, he had to rely on the kindness of teachers and classmates to move around. Despite these difficulties, he never complained. He had learned to find happiness in the small victories, being able to reach a high shelf with a helping hand, finishing a drawing perfectly, or answering a question correctly in class. Every small success felt monumental to him. Ion also had a younger sister, Hannah, who adored him. She would often sit beside him, reading books aloud, helping him with puzzles, and joining him in imaginative games. She saw him not just as her brother in a wheelchair, but as a brave, kind, and clever boy who could do anything he set his mind to. Together, they created a world filled with laughter, imagination, and love, even if it was sometimes confined to the walls of their home. The family had tried many things to help Ion walk. They had taken him to doctors, therapists, and specialists, always searching for solutions. There were exercises, braces, and various treatments, but nothing had given Ion the ability to walk on his own. Still, the family never lost hope. They celebrated every small improvement, every moment of strength, and every tiny movement that showed progress. For them, life was about hope and love, not limitations. One sunny morning, the family received an invitation that would change their lives in a way they never imagined. A local foundation had arranged a visit to the royal palace, allowing children and families from the community to experience a day filled with joy, learning, and special activities. Sarah and Imran thought this would be a wonderful opportunity for Ion and Hannah, a chance to step out of their usual routines and enjoy something magical. Ion was thrilled at the idea, his eyes sparkling with excitement at the thought of seeing the palace, the guards, and the grand halls he had only seen in books and on television. On the day of the visit, the family arrived at the palace gates, feeling both awe and anticipation. The palace was magnificent, with high walls, beautiful gardens, and fountains that sparkled in the sunlight. Ion's wheelchair moved slowly along the wide paths, and he took in every detail with wonder. Flowers of every color bloomed in the gardens, birds sang cheerfully, and the marble floors of the palace halls gleamed like polished glass. It was a world so different from his own, a place that felt almost like a dream. As they moved through the palace grounds, Ion's attention was drawn to a group of royal guards standing tall and still, dressed in their traditional uniforms. Their presence was imposing, yet there was something about them that fascinated Ion. He watched closely as they carried out their duties with precision, their eyes alert, and their movements synchronized like a perfectly rehearsed dance. He had never seen anything so disciplined, so regal, and yet so calm. For the first time in a long while, Ion felt a stirring of hope inside him. He imagined what it would be like to stand tall like them, to move freely, and to feel strong in his own body. His heart raced with a mixture of excitement and longing. He turned to his parents, pointing to the guards, his eyes wide with wonder. Sarah smiled gently, understanding her son's silent wish. Imran gave him a reassuring nod, squeezing his hand. They knew that while this was just a visit, the spark of hope it ignited could stay with him forever. As they walked closer to the guards, one of them noticed Ayan staring. The guard was tall, with a strong build, but his eyes were kind and observant. He stepped slightly closer, not breaking his composure, yet his gaze held a warmth that immediately made Ayan feel at ease. For a moment, the world seemed to pause. Ayan, who was usually shy around strangers, felt an inexplicable connection to this man. He smiled, a small but genuine smile, and the guard nodded in return, acknowledging him. Hana tugged at her brother's sleeve, pointing at the guard and whispering, "He's looking at you, Ayan." Ayan nodded, a mixture of excitement and nervousness bubbling inside him. He had never felt this kind of attention before, not just any attention, but the kind that seemed to say, "You are special, and I see you." Sarah and Imran exchanged glances, sensing that something extraordinary was about to happen, though they could not have imagined the magnitude of it. The day continued with guided tour of the palace, the children laughing and exploring, but Ayan kept glancing back at the royal guard. There was a quiet determination in his gaze, a silent plea that perhaps one day he too could stand as tall as these noble figures. The guard, in turn, continued to watch him, noticing the boy's curiosity, courage, and the gentle hope that shone from his eyes. By the afternoon, the family reached a beautiful garden inside the palace, where visitors were allowed to rest and enjoy the surroundings. Ayan's wheelchair was parked under a tree, and he watched the fountain in the center of the garden, mesmerized by the way the water sparkled in the sun. The royal guard approached, walking slowly to avoid startling the boy. He knelt slightly, bringing himself closer to Ayan's level, and spoke in a calm, gentle voice. "Hello there, what's your name?" Ayan looked up, slightly shy but encouraged by the guard's kindness. "Ayan," he replied softly. "It's nice to meet you, Ayan," the guard said. "Do you like the palace?" Ayan nodded eagerly. "It's amazing, I've never seen anything like it." The guard smiled. "I can see that. You have very curious eyes. I like that. Curiosity is important. It makes you strong in ways you might not even know." Ayan's parents watched from a short distance, feeling a mixture of awe and relief. No one had ever spoken to their son with such warmth and respect. For a moment, it seemed as though the world had opened a small door of possibility, one that promised something extraordinary for their beloved boy. As the sun began to set, the family knew it was time to leave the palace. Ayan, however, could not stop thinking about the guard. He wondered what it would feel like to stand, even for a few seconds, and to move like the others around him. He had dreamed of it for years, but now, with the gentle encouragement of this kind stranger, the dream felt a little closer, a little more real. The day ended with the family taking photographs, capturing smiles, laughter, and moments of joy that would last forever. But in Ayan's heart, a quiet hope had taken root. He did not know how or when, but something deep inside told him that perhaps one day he would walk. And perhaps one day he would take those first steps with the help of someone who saw him, not just as a boy in a wheelchair, but as a boy capable of extraordinary things. As they drove home that evening, Ayan leaned back in his wheelchair, gazing out of the window at the fading light. Hana sat beside him, holding his hand. Sarah and Imran exchanged smiles, silently promising to support their son in every way possible. The palace, the guards, and the magical garden were now part of Ayan's memories, a memory that would inspire him for years to come. And somewhere, deep in his heart, he held on to the hope that one day he would stand tall, step by step, and show the world the courage that had always lived within him. After that unforgettable visit to the palace, Ayan could not stop thinking about the royal guard who had spoken to him so kindly. The memory of the guard's gentle eyes, his calm voice, and the way he had knelt to talk to him stayed in Ayan's mind like a small, bright light. For the first time, Ayan felt that the impossible might not be so impossible after all. He wanted to see the guard again, to feel that spark of hope, to discover if maybe, just maybe, he could do more than he had ever imagined. Ayan's parents noticed the change in him. He was quieter in some ways, thoughtful, and yet his eyes held a new sense of determination. He began practicing small exercises more eagerly, moving his legs with a new energy that came from hope rather than obligation. Sarah encouraged him gently, guiding his legs during stretching exercises, while Imran cheered him on, reminding him how strong he already was. The family could feel that something inside their son had shifted, a quiet confidence beginning to grow. One morning, a week after the palace visit, Imran received a letter from the Royal Foundation that had organized the visit. The letter invited Ayan and his family back to the palace for a special event, a day where children could meet the royal guards and participate in activities designed to inspire courage and confidence. Imran could hardly contain his excitement as he read the letter aloud to Sarah. "This is our chance, Sarah," he said, his voice trembling with emotion. "Ayan will be able to go back and maybe he'll meet the guard again." When Ayan heard the news, his face lit up with joy. He could hardly sit still, bouncing slightly in his wheelchair as he imagined returning to the palace gardens, seeing the guards, and feeling the excitement of a world that felt magical to him. Hana, too, was thrilled. She helped him get ready, making sure his clothes were neat, his shoes were comfortable, and his wheelchair was polished and ready. The family left home early that morning, eager to make the journey to the palace. As they arrived, the palace gates opened like welcoming arms, and Ayan felt his heart race. Everything seemed even more beautiful than before. The flowers in the gardens were in full bloom, the fountains sparkled in the sunlight, and the marble paths gleamed as though polished for a king. But Ayan's eyes were drawn immediately to the royal guards. They stood tall, disciplined, yet their presence seemed less formal today, as if they were waiting for something extraordinary to happen. And then Ayan saw him, the same royal guard who had knelt and spoken to him last week. He was standing at the edge of the garden, scanning the crowd, and when he noticed Ayan, a small smile appeared on his face. Ayan's heart leapt. The guard walked closer, his movements steady, calm, and deliberate. He knelt down just as he had before so that his eyes were level with Ayan's. "Hello again, Ayan," the guard said warmly. "I remember you, it's good to see you back." Ayan smiled shyly, but there was a spark of excitement in his eyes. I remembered you too," he whispered. "I've been thinking about you." The guard nodded, his expression kind and encouraging. "I'm glad to hear that. I have a feeling you're ready to try something new today, something small but important." Ayan looked at his parents, unsure what the guard meant. Sarah and Imran exchanged nervous glances, sensing that something unusual was about to happen. They trusted the guard, yet they felt a mixture of excitement and fear. Ayan had never walked on his own, not even for a step. Could this really happen? The guard continued, speaking directly to Ayan now. "Would you like to try standing today, just for a moment with a little help?" Ayan's eyes widened. His mind raced with possibilities. "Standing, I can try?" he asked, his voice trembling with excitement and nervousness. "Yes," the guard said gently. "We'll do it together. I'll be right here, and I promise I won't let you fall." Sarah and Imran felt tears prick their eyes. They had dreamed of this moment for years, never truly expecting it to happen. They nodded silently, trusting the guard and encouraging their son. Hana squeezed Ayan's hand, her eyes wide with excitement, and whispered, "You can do it, Ayan. I know you can." The guard positioned himself carefully. He held Ayan's hands firmly but gently, guiding him to place his feet on the ground. Ayan felt a strange mix of fear and exhilaration. His legs were weak, and they shook as he tried to support his weight. The guard's presence was reassuring, and slowly Ayan felt himself rising a little higher with every push. His parents watched in silent awe, their hearts pounding with hope and anticipation. For a moment, Ayan wobbled. His knees trembled and his breath caught in his throat. But the guard steadied him, encouraging him with kind words and gentle support. "That's it, Ayan. You're doing great. Keep going just a little more." And then it happened. Ayan took a small, unsteady step. His heart raced as he realized he was moving on his own with the guard guiding him. Another step followed, and another, each one filled with courage and determination. Hana cheered, clapping her hands, while Sarah and Imran could hardly contain their tears. They had waited for this moment for so long, and now it was happening right before their eyes. The guard's voice was calm but filled with encouragement. "You're walking, Ayan. Look at you. Step by step, you're doing it." Ayan felt a surge of pride and joy. For the first time, he was moving in a way he had only dreamed about. The sensation of standing and stepping was exhilarating, even though his legs were still weak. Each step was a victory, a triumph over years of limitation and struggle. The guard held him securely, ensuring he felt safe while also encouraging him to trust his own strength. Other families in the garden began to notice the scene. Some stopped to watch quietly, amazed by the courage of the little boy and the support of the royal guard. It was a moment of pure inspiration, a reminder that hope and determination could create miracles. Ion's family stood nearby, overwhelmed with emotion. Sarah held her hand to her mouth to stifle sobs, while Imran's eyes glistened with tears. Hannah jumped up and down, laughing and clapping for her brother, proud beyond words. As the minutes passed, Ion's confidence grew. With the guard's guidance, he took more steps, learning to balance and trust his legs. Each movement was small but significant, and the joy on his face was unmistakable. "I'm walking," he exclaimed, his voice filled with wonder. "I'm really walking," the guard smiled, his own eyes reflecting pride and satisfaction. "Yes, Ion, you are walking. See what courage and determination can do? You believed, and now it's happening." The moment was magical, almost as if time itself had paused. Ion's parents finally stepped forward, embracing him carefully while he still held onto the guard. Tears streamed down their faces, a mixture of happiness, relief, and awe. "You did it, our brave boy," Sarah whispered, holding him close. "We always believed in you." Imran nodded, his voice breaking with emotion. "You've shown us all what true courage looks like, Ion. We are so proud of you." The guard gently guided Ion to sit back in his wheelchair, allowing him to rest after the exertion. But the change in him was undeniable. Something had shifted inside Ion, something powerful, something that would stay with him forever. He had experienced the joy of movement, the thrill of standing, and the courage that came from trying something new. Even as the family prepared to leave the palace, Ion could not stop talking about the experience. He spoke of the steps he had taken, the feeling of strength in his legs, and the kindness of the royal guard. Hannah listened attentively, eyes wide with admiration. Sarah and Imran shared quiet smiles, knowing that this day would become a cherished memory, a story they would tell again and again. The royal guard watched the family from a distance as they departed. He felt a quiet pride in being part of Ion's journey, in helping a small but determined child experience something life-changing. For the guard, it was a reminder that even small acts of kindness and encouragement could have a profound impact. He had given Ion support and belief, but the boy's courage and determination had made the real difference. On the way home, Ion leaned back in his wheelchair, exhausted but exhilarated. "I can't believe I did it," he said softly to Hannah. "I actually walked." Hannah squeezed his hand. "I knew you could. You're amazing, Ion." Sarah and Imran exchanged a look filled with gratitude and love. They knew that life with Ion would continue to have challenges, but now there was a new light shining in his world, a light of hope, courage, and possibility. The memory of that day, the kindness of the royal guard, and the first steps he had taken would stay with him forever. That evening, as the family settled down at home, Ion gazed out of the window, thinking about the palace gardens, the sparkling fountains, and the tall, kind royal guard. He dreamed of future steps, future adventures, and the knowledge that he could face whatever came his way. For the first time, walking was no longer just a dream. It was a goal, a possibility, and a promise of the amazing journey still ahead. Determination. For the first time in his life, he felt that walking might actually be possible. The royal guard's encouragement had lit a spark in his heart that would not be extinguished. Every morning, he woke up thinking about movement, about standing tall, about the possibility of taking more steps than ever before. He began to practice diligently at home, under the gentle guidance of his parents. Sarah and Imran were amazed at the transformation in their son. He was more confident, more willing to try new exercises, and more determined than they had ever seen him. Each morning, Sarah would carefully help him stretch his legs and balance, guiding him patiently as he learned to trust his own strength. Imran would stand nearby, offering encouragement and reminding him of the day he had spent at the palace. Hannah, his ever-loyal sister, became his cheerleader. She would clap, cheer, and sometimes even race alongside him in their living room, celebrating every small victory. Ion's determination did not go unnoticed by others as well. His teachers at school were inspired by his perseverance, and some of the other children began to support him, offering their hands to help him practice standing or simply cheering for him during recess. Even neighbors and friends were touched by his courage. Slowly, word of Ion's bravery spread, not as a tale of struggle, but as a story of hope, perseverance, and the joy of small triumphs. One bright morning, the family received a special invitation from the Royal Foundation. They were asked to return to the palace for a private event, one where Ion would have the opportunity to try standing and walking with the royal guard's direct assistance. Sarah and Imran could hardly contain their excitement. They had dreamed of this moment for years, and now it was finally within reach. Hannah bounced with joy, holding her brother's hand as they traveled to the palace, eager to witness what could be a life-changing day. As they arrived, the palace gardens were alive with sunlight, flowers, and the gentle sound of fountains splashing in the air. Ion's heart raced as he spotted the royal guard waiting for him near the central fountain. The guard stood tall and calm, his presence both reassuring and inspiring. When he saw Ion, a small smile appeared on his face, and he waved gently. Ion waved back, his hands trembling with anticipation. The guard knelt down to Ion's level, speaking softly and kindly. "Ion, today is a special day. Are you ready to try something truly amazing?" Ion nodded, his eyes wide with excitement. "Yes, I want to try," he said, his voice quivering slightly. The guard extended his hands toward Ion, helping him to stand. The first moments were shaky. Ion's legs trembled and his balance wavered. He felt fear, but also an overwhelming excitement. He could feel strength rising in his body, a sensation he had never experienced before. The guard's calm presence and firm grip reassured him, giving him the courage to continue. Sarah and Imran watched in silent awe. Their hearts were pounding and tears welled in their eyes. They had longed for this moment, dreamed of it, and now they were witnessing it unfold in real life. Hannah clapped and cheered, her voice full of encouragement. "You can do it, Ion." "You're amazing." Step by step, Ion began to move forward. The first step was slow and careful, but it was real. He took another step, then another, his confidence growing with each movement. The guard remained close, guiding him, supporting him, and offering gentle words of encouragement. "That's it, Ion. Keep going. Look at you." Ion's face lit up with pure joy. The world seemed to change around him. He felt taller, stronger, braver. Every step was a triumph over years of struggle and limitation. The garden, the fountains, the sunlight, they all seemed brighter, more alive, reflecting the excitement and hope within him. Other visitors to the palace had gathered at a respectful distance, watching quietly as Ion continued to walk. Some smiled, others wiped tears from their eyes. It was a scene of inspiration, a moment that transcended age, circumstance, and expectation. Ion, a little boy who had spent most of his life in a wheelchair, was walking. With every step, he was rewriting the story of his life, showing the world that courage, determination, and support could make the impossible possible. The royal guard encouraged him further, showing him how to take careful steps without fear. "You are strong, Ion. You have the courage to do this. Every step is a victory, and I am so proud of you." Ion felt a wave of happiness and pride unlike anything he had ever known. "I'm really walking. I can feel it. I'm walking," he exclaimed, his laughter ringing through the garden like music. Sarah and Imran approached carefully, ready to support him if needed. They were overwhelmed with emotion, their hearts swelling with love and pride. "Our brave boy," Sarah whispered, her voice trembling. "Look at you, you're walking." Imran nodded, holding back tears. "We always knew you could do it, Ion. You believed in yourself, and now look at you." Hannah ran beside him, holding his hand as he took each step. She laughed and cheered, making him feel even braver. "I'm so proud of you, Ion. You're amazing." The guard's calm presence remained a steady anchor for Ion. He offered guidance, encouragement, and support, but never took away the joy of accomplishment from the boy. Every step Ion took was his own, a testament to his determination and courage. The family took turns helping Ion practice, offering gentle support and celebrating each small success. The garden echoed with laughter, cheers, and tears of joy. Each step Ion took was a reminder that love, hope, and encouragement could overcome fear, doubt, and physical challenges. As the afternoon sun began to lower in the sky, Ion had taken several steps on his own, unassisted. His legs were still weak, but his determination had grown stronger than ever. He had experienced the thrill of standing, walking, and moving independently, even if just for a few steps. The sense of accomplishment was overwhelming, and his heart soared with pride. The royal guard knelt beside him one last time, smiling warmly. "You've done something truly incredible today, Ion. You have shown courage, strength, and determination. Remember this moment, because it is proof that you can do anything you set your mind to." Ion looked up at him, his eyes shining with gratitude and joy. "Thank you," he said softly, his voice filled with emotion. "I couldn't have done it without you." Sarah and Imran approached, wrapping their arms around their son. Tears streamed down their faces, a mixture of happiness, relief, and pride. "You are our miracle, Ion," Sarah whispered. "We have always believed in you, and today you have shown the world your strength." Imran nodded, holding him close. "This is just the beginning, son. Today you have taken your first steps, and there are many more to come." The garden was filled with a quiet reverence. Visitors who had watched from a distance were inspired, moved, and touched by the courage of a little boy who refused to be limited by his circumstances. Ion's story was not just about walking, it was about hope, perseverance, and the power of human connection. Hannah held Ion's hand tightly as they prepared to leave the palace. "I can't wait to see you walk even more," she said excitedly. "I know you can do it." Ion smiled, feeling a sense of accomplishment and possibility that he had never experienced before. "I will, Hannah," he said. "I promise I will keep trying." The royal guard watched the family leave, feeling a quiet pride and fulfillment. He knew that his role was small, but he also knew that encouragement, belief, and kindness could change lives. Ion's courage and determination had done most of the work, but the guard's presence had given him the confidence to take the first steps. Together, they had created a moment that would be remembered forever. That evening, back at home, Ion could not stop talking about the day. He described every step, every feeling, and every word of encouragement he had received. Sarah and Imran listened, their hearts full, knowing that this was a turning point in their son's life. Hannah giggled and repeated his words, celebrating his triumph with joy and pride. Ion's journey was just beginning, but the first steps had been taken. They symbolized courage, hope, and the power of belief. With the love of his family, the support of the royal guard, and his own determination, Ion had proven that even the smallest steps could lead to the greatest victories. As he drifted off to sleep that night, Ion dreamed of running, jumping, and playing freely. He dreamed of the palace gardens, the fountains, and the kind eyes of the royal guard. Most of all, he dreamed of a future where he could walk with confidence, step by step, knowing that he was capable of achieving anything he set his mind to. The memory of that day, the laughter, the cheers, the first steps, would stay with Ion forever. It was a moment of transformation, a moment that changed not just his life, but the lives of his family and everyone who heard his story. Ion had taken his first steps, but he had also taken the first steps toward a life filled with hope, courage, and endless possibilities. After the magical day at the palace when Ion took his first steps, life at home and in the community began to change in small but remarkable ways. The experience had left a deep mark on him, his family, and even the people around them. Ion's confidence grew with every passing day, and he started to see himself not as a boy limited by his wheelchair, but as a boy capable of achieving extraordinary things. At home, mornings were filled with new routines. Ion continued his exercises, but now he approached them with determination rather than obligation. Every movement, every attempt to stand and balance, became a step toward greater independence. Sarah and Imran continued to guide him gently, offering encouragement and praise for every small accomplishment. Hannah was always there, cheering him on with laughter, claps, and playful encouragement, making every practice session fun and joyful. Ion's progress was steady but deliberate. Some days were harder than others, and his legs would feel tired or unsteady, but he no longer felt discouraged. The memory of the royal guard's encouragement and the triumph he had felt in the palace garden reminded him that perseverance was key. Each small success was celebrated with joy, laughter, and sometimes even tears. Word of Ion's courage and determination began to spread. Neighbors, friends, and even teachers were inspired by his story. His classmates, who once pitied him silently, now cheered him on, offering to help him practice walking in small ways during recess. The school staff arranged safe spaces for him to practice standing and taking steps, ensuring he could continue to grow stronger in a supportive environment. The family made it a habit to visit the palace from time to time, often participating in community events organized there. Each visit reinforced Ion's belief in himself. The royal guard would greet him warmly, kneeling to talk to him and offering gentle guidance. "You're getting stronger every time I see you," the guard would say. "Keep going, Ion. You can do more than you ever imagined." These encounters became a source of inspiration not only for Ion, but also for the guard. He had seen many people in his line of duty, but few had shown the courage and determination that Ion displayed. Every visit reminded him of the profound impact of kindness, encouragement, and belief in someone's potential. Ion's parents noticed the emotional impact of these experiences as well. Sarah found herself reflecting on how much their lives had changed in just a few weeks. The moments of fear and worry that had once dominated their thoughts were gradually replaced with hope, pride, and joy. Imran often held Ion close, marveling at his son's determination and bravery. "Every step you take," he would say, "is a reminder that nothing is impossible when you believe in yourself." Hana became an inseparable part of Ion's journey. She accompanied him everywhere, celebrating each small victory, encouraging him when he struggled, and making even the most difficult exercises fun. Her laughter and energy became a source of motivation for Ion, turning every practice session into a joyful adventure. Ion began to experience small milestones that felt monumental. He could now stand on his own for a few seconds without support. He could take several steps with minimal assistance, and every attempt filled him with pride. The family celebrated these victories, capturing them in photographs and videos, knowing that each moment was a memory to cherish forever. The community also began to recognize Ion's determination. His story was shared with local groups, inspiring other families facing challenges. People admired his courage, the unwavering support of his family, and the gentle encouragement of the royal guard. Ion became a symbol of hope, showing that with determination, love, and guidance, even the most daunting obstacles could be overcome. One special day, the palace invited Ion and his family to a larger event, where other children with special needs could experience the same opportunities. Ion was nervous but excited. He had grown stronger and more confident, yet the memory of his first steps still filled him with awe. The royal guard greeted him warmly, kneeling to speak to him as he had before. "Are you ready to show what you can do today?" he asked. Ion nodded, determination shining in his eyes. With the guard's support and the encouragement of his family, he took careful steps, this time with even more confidence than before. Each movement was deliberate, filled with strength, courage, and joy. Visitors watched in admiration as Ion moved across the garden, a testament to perseverance, hope, and the power of belief. Sarah and Imran held back tears, overwhelmed with emotion. Their son, who had once relied entirely on a wheelchair, was walking with growing independence. Hana clapped and cheered, jumping up and down with excitement. "Look at you, Ion, you're amazing," she shouted, her voice filled with joy. The royal guard stood close by, offering guidance and encouragement, but allowing Ion to experience the triumph fully on his own. "Every step you take is yours, Ion," he said warmly. "I am just here to remind you of your strength." That day marked a turning point in Ion's life. He had learned that he could achieve more than he had ever imagined. He had experienced the joy of independence, the thrill of movement, and the confidence that comes from believing in oneself. The lessons he had learned would stay with him forever, shaping not just his physical abilities, but his character, his courage, and his outlook on life. Back at home, Ion continued to practice every day, sometimes alone, sometimes with Hana, and sometimes with his parents' gentle guidance. Each session was a step forward, both literally and figuratively. His confidence grew with every movement, and the world around him began to feel larger, more inviting, and full of possibilities. The family reflected often on the role of the royal guard in Ion's journey. His kindness, encouragement, and calm presence had made an enormous difference, giving Ion the confidence to try, the courage to persevere, and the joy of accomplishment. But they also knew that the real strength came from Ion himself, from his determination, his courage, and his refusal to be defined by limitations. In the weeks and months that followed, Ion reached more milestones. He could walk longer distances with support, take a few independent steps, and even participate in games with his friends that he had never imagined possible. Each achievement was celebrated with laughter, cheers, and sometimes tears of joy. The family knew that this journey was ongoing, but they also knew that Ion had already accomplished something extraordinary. The community continued to be inspired by Ion's story. Families, teachers, and friends shared his journey as a reminder that hope, perseverance, and encouragement could change lives. Ion became a source of inspiration not because he had overcome all obstacles, but because he had faced them with courage, determination, and joy. One evening, as the family sat together in their living room, Ion reflected on everything that had happened. "I never knew I could do this," he said softly, looking at his parents and sister. "I never thought I could really walk." Sarah held his hand gently. "You always could, Ion. You just needed to believe it yourself, and now you know that anything is possible when you try." Imran nodded, smiling with pride. "You have shown all of us what courage really means, Ion. Every step you take is a reminder of your strength." Hannah hugged her brother tightly. "I always knew you were amazing, Ion, and now everyone else can see it too." As the days turned into months, Ion continued to grow stronger, more confident, and more independent. He still faced challenges, but he approached each one with courage and determination. The memory of the royal guard's kindness and the first steps he took in the palace garden remained a guiding light in his journey. Ion's story became a testament to the power of hope, the strength of family, and the impact of kindness. It showed that even in the face of difficulty, determination and encouragement could create miracles. The first steps he had taken were more than just a physical achievement. They were a symbol of courage, perseverance, and the limitless possibilities that life could offer. Years later, Ion would look back on that magical day at the palace and remember the feeling of standing tall for the first time. He would remember the warmth of the royal guard, the encouragement of his family, and the joy of taking those first steps. It was a moment that shaped his life, a moment that taught him that no dream was too big, no challenge too great, and no obstacle insurmountable when faced with love, hope, and determination. Ion's journey continued, each day bringing new challenges, new milestones, and new joys. But the memory of that first walk remained with him forever, a reminder that courage, determination, and kindness could change the world, one step at a time. And as he grew, learned, and achieved, Ion never forgot the magical day when a royal guard helped him believe in himself, showing that sometimes all it takes is a little support to make a lifetime of difference. Through every step he took after that, Ion carried the lessons of hope, perseverance, and courage with him. His family remained by his side, celebrating every achievement, big or small, and cherishing the remarkable boy who had shown them the power of determination. And though the journey was ongoing, Ion had already proven that with love, support, and belief in oneself, even the smallest steps could lead to the greatest victories.